Okay. Hey guys, what's happening? Welcome back to the Inner Storyteller. Welcome back to the channels, the Inner Storyteller and the Ufulu Child channels. Man, it is a good day, good people. It is a really good day to do a podcast. My name is Soul Expression, and I welcome you to the podcast. Let me make myself big for the intro. As you can see, today we are reacting. Okay, we're reacting to another video by A Homestead Journey. Really love her channel. She just compiles these TikToks of people basically giving their testimony in different aspects of American life. And or I think she might even do some international stories as well, but basically different aspects of life. She seems like a freedom seeker, but she does keep her opinions very professional, very politically correct, and I respect her for it. That's fine. Not everybody has to be so abrasive about every little aspect and so um, linguistically precise about every little aspect of the fight. But before we get into all of that, guys, please, for your boy, like the video. Okay? Like the video, subscribe to the channels. I need you to do so that I can monetize my podcast. If you are here, then you must know you are in for some real conversations. We talk about natural law, we talk about religion, the good, the bad, and the ugly, and the great. We talk about money, anarchy, and culture. And we dive into and explore exactly how mankind is manipulated by forces that do not have our best interests at heart, because said forces are completely evil. But we are not bashing faith systems here. We do not call people names for having or subscribing to a religion. We are simply examining the true and lasting cause and effect and affect of the stories that we have the most faith in, the ones we have the most stake in, and how those stories help shape society. Now, that examination has to sit right alongside an honest look at the current human condition, which is slavery. Government is slavery, good people. And the question we have to keep coming back to is what can actually be improved with a proper understanding of the inner storyteller and how it works. And if any of that makes you uneasy or makes you a little angry or uncomfortable in any way, please be assured and reassured, good people, that although you are 100,000 billion% encouraged to stay, you are, alas, welcome to leave. But only after you like the video. Okay? You have to like the video before you leave, if you leave early, or if you leave on time, you know, or if you never get here. Make sure you like the video even if you don't watch it. All that being said, let me bring back my share screen. Boom. We have to get into this because they are making some points in this video, okay? They are going to expose what's going on tonight. You can see this is an hour-long video. We're not going to react to the whole thing. But before we watch any of it, I'm just going to read off to you all of my notes about the video, and you can, just kind of look for some of these trends, some of the things that I was able to jot down as notes beforehand so that I can watch it with you and react instead of trying to match up, various um, timestamps with my notes and try to do like a real script. I just have some bullet points that I'm going to read to you, and then we'll watch and react to this together. I'll pause it and give my thoughts midway and whatnot, and then eventually we'll just end the video. So first of all, some of the things that teachers are actually experiencing, right? There are so many teachers quitting mid-year, record numbers. Teachers just leaving. Nope, no more, can't do it no more. You're going to see that in this video. And it's consistently described as self-preservation, meaning it's not being described as abandonment, where somebody is like, look, I don't care what happens to anything. I'm apathetic and I'm just abandoning my post because I'm being lazy or something like that. No, it's described as self-preservation, that the environment is so bad that they have to abandon this profession. Another thing they're experiencing, 90% of teaching is behavioral management now. 90% instead of instruction. And the 90% number is an exaggerate. You're talking about something subjective. So that's not a statistic. And I don't want it to be construed as such. But most of the day now, instead of teaching material, is just behavior management. We're going to get into this as we listen to one of the teachers describe it. But basically, everything is so scripted. Everything about a teacher's day is so scripted and performative as far as the curriculum, the speed of the curriculum, how long a lesson is supposed to take, all of this, so that everybody is in the same, everybody in like the fourth grade team, the fifth grade team, sixth grade team, everybody's on the same page and moving at a relatively same pace, even if the students aren't able to keep up because of the dynamics, at their homes and whatever else reason that they can't keep up. The teachers are being required to be very robotic, formulaic, and scripted about the way that they teach the lessons. Therefore, the students who are placed in this artificial, super judgmental about their, academic abilities environment are rebelling against every little thing that the school is giving them, and therefore they need a lot of behavior management to just get through the little worksheets and the things that they are being told to do as a robot, being judged on every single day and being, put through. It's creating a clash, and they just need so much behavioral correction that they can't even get the lesson through. I think I'm gonna make myself bigger because this is taking longer than than I thought it would. Another thing teachers are actually experiencing. Teachers are spending personal money, personal vacation time, preparing materials that students destroy without remorse and are being expected to be, on the up and up in their emotions at this situation. Another thing, one teacher reports that only 2 of her 8th graders, and she has 110 eighth graders, are reading at grade level. And we talked about this last time we reacted to a Homestead Journey's YouTube page. 2 out of 110 eighth graders are reading at grade level. 18 of which, 8th graders, mind you, read at a kindergarten level. 55 between second and fourth grade, right? Crazy. Another thing teachers are going through, administration consistently fails to back teachers when students are violent or disruptive. Emphasis on the word violent. We, we have a bit of an epidemic of students not caring about consequence whatsoever. Now, we are anti-government. We are anti the idea that there's any legitimacy to slavery at all on this channel, but we are not anti the discipline of children who become violent for no reason. Right? Obviously, something needs to be done about that. But teachers are not treated as professionals. The scripted curricula have replaced teacher autonomy, right? Any administrator can walk in and everyone is on the same page, meaning teachers are no longer trusted as professionals. Now, some of the things that they also point out from this video, some of which we won't see in today's reaction, students can no longer read a clock. Students can no longer tie their shoes at appropriate ages. They can't count coins, write in cursive, memorize a phone number or even their own address, right? They can't follow multi-step directions. hey, can you put these books away, then wipe your table where you were, and then come meet us for a circle, for the reading circle. They'll go put one book away of the books that they have to put away, turn back to the teacher and go, what am I supposed to do again? Right? They can't sit through 3-paragraph reading passage without complaint. They can't apply basic inference or connect cause to effect at appropriate ages. They can't self motivate outside of direct adult supervision and pushing. And they can't, and a fourth grader was honest with her teacher about an assignment, asking, well, why do I need to learn to read when a computer can read it for me? And the teacher, in a state of devastation, it's like, yeah, it was hard to answer that question. you know and it's very sad because I know the importance of reading, but it's hard to convince the student who's coming from that perspective. Students were asked about their dreams, and when asked, their dreams centered almost entirely on money, right? There's an assignment that a teacher gives out every year, and increasingly more and more every year, there's more and more lottery winners in this assignment, meaning that students don't know what each other is writing down. It's just different years, and increasingly since 2020 or so, more and more percentage of the answers that she gets about their dreams have to do with money, winning the lottery. Not achievement, not skill, not purpose, just money, right? The lottery dream pattern is the inner storyteller's sorting function, accepting the story that money is the only realistic outcome for anybody who's going to be comfortable in this life, which is sad, right? And it's not because these children are broken that they think this way. It's because that is the story that the adults around these children are living and practicing in front of them, right? A total disconnection from the information that the kids are learning. Information is going from the eyes to the hands without passing through the brain, meaning teachers, multiple teachers describe this phenomenon independently in this video. Students are reading instructions, and if the answer is like open, it is like a box where you write or type your answer, they're basically just regurgitating the instructions for what to fill out or what to say in the box, and they're not thinking through the answer. You'll see exactly what we mean. I think we'll get to that one. A fixed mindset is normalized in the students, meaning failure can equal identity, right? Failure isn't feedback for, okay, cool, I have the goal of succeeding, I'm failing, so now that's feedback. No, failure is now, I'm a failure. So it's identity. It's not, oh, I failed and I shouldn't have. What should I do next time to avoid this outcome? It's, oh, okay, cool, I'm a failure. Let me wear that mask. Let me do what I think failures do. Let me make that my identity and keep failing, because now that's my identity. And yeah, just emotional regulation replacing academic instruction as the primary function in the classroom is having very bizarre effects on these children. Parents are unreachable. A lot of parents are completely disengaged or actively undermining the consequences of the school system. If a student gets disciplined in a way that they have to stay home, or they have to have the parent come inside, come in, um, the parent is making it worse a lot of times. And I've been an educator for 7, 8 years. Parents can be quite horrible in the situation, quite dumb in their responses. Administration prioritizes data appearance over genuine accountability, passing students who are doing 20% of what they should be doing, or reaching academic achievement, 20% of the achievement they're supposed to achieve at a grade level, showing the results, 20% of the results they're supposed to show at grade level, just to move them along and get the statistic of this is the percentage of students that we graduate at our school. Right? The school system is producing exactly what it was designed to produce by Rockefeller, Carnegie, JP Morgan, and the like, which is compliance training. But the compliance is now breaking down because the conditions that made the compliance feel rewarding have been replaced by screens that offer something more immediately stimulating, more dopamine producing, right? There was a speech language pathologist that described evaluation lists growing faster than they can be cleared, with true language impairment increasingly indistinguishable from language delay, which is caused by zero exposure at home to reading, to educational programming, to things that would expand a child's vocabulary. There's zero exposure. Mom and dad are always in their phone and quiet. We don't even speak at the dinner table anymore, largely. The television, the iPad is raising the children. And it's a lot worse than it used to be, even though that was always bad. The child who cannot follow written instruction and copies the directions verbatim without thinking, that's not just stupidity. That's years of conditioning to perform the form of the task rather than engage with the content of the task. You'll see what we mean, but there's an example where a student writes down the instructions of the question into the box and, thought that that was what they were supposed to do. And it wasn't. They were supposed to answer the question, not write the question. But regardless, teachers are leaving for the same reason anyone leaves any abusive situation, right? The cost of staying in the school system for these teachers exceeds what the story about the profession can justify. And the last thing that I'll say is the village that used to discipline the child, that used to educate the child in a real way, that is the community that the inner storyteller curriculum is trying to rebuild. Because school never replaced it, it just pretended to. And with that being said, good people, let us get into our reaction.
There are so many teachers quitting.
Let me mute my mic.
Right now, teaching in the year 2025 is not the same career as it was teaching before the pandemic.
I don't know what's happened to education. It breaks my heart.
I feel like we are reaching a point where something's got to give, and I don't know that we can keep going like this.
Puts two hands up like this close to my face, and goes,
These kids are horrible. Horrible.
Why do I need to know any of this if a computer or AI can do it for me?
But what's happening now is on a whole other level.
I have 2 hours left of my school day and I'm leaving because I'm so stressed out.
This is going to be one of those videos.
Also, if y'all can let me know in the comments if y'all can hear it so that I'm not just watching this by myself, getting ready to start reacting, and then y'all didn't hear anything the whole time. So just let me know.
That I'm going to lose my shit in.
So the moral decline of this country is obvious, but I really haven't stopped to consider what teachers are really going through nowadays. I mean, you see on the news all the time what's going on in schools, and you can only imagine what's going on in the classrooms.
I'm asking for a friend. How am I?
So that was the lady. This lady right here. Hold on.
You see on the news all the time what's going on in schools, and you can only imagine what's going on in the classrooms.
I'm asking for a friend. How am I supposed to teach for 30 more years?
There we go. That is A Homestead Journey, right? That's the lady. Heads up, your microphone for the podcast needs to be turned up a lot. Oh, check, check. Hopefully that's better. I was talking for a long time, and I wonder why you couldn't comment this. So this is my wife. My wife is one of the live viewers, and I hope there's no reason why this couldn't be commented in the YouTube. But I still need someone to let me know if y'all can hear the video in the well, wife, if you're still watching, you can tell me here in this app that you just texted me about my microphone, or you can tell me, um, you know, you can tell me in the. Okay, so my mic is better. Can you hear the video? Can you hear the video?
Classrooms.
I'm asking for a friend.
Just want to confirm real quick. And I'm not cutting this out the video, guys. I'm not cutting this out, okay? We do the technical difficulties however we can. Okay, it says still low microphone. I wonder if that's like a setting that I can toggle somehow. No, doesn't look like it. Doesn't look like it. Video is clear, it's just a lot louder than you. Okay, so let me just turn the volume of the video down. I don't know why. I have my microphone turned up way, way loud. It's loud in my headphones. But we shall just, sort of deal with this. Again, one day when enough of you guys like the video and subscribe to the channels, I will be able to monetize this channel and maybe hire a producer of some kind that can do technical settings and microphone settings and things that I cannot do. But for now, let's just watch this, and I'll just make sure to pause the video every time I want to react to it. Let's get into it.
How am I supposed to teach for 30 more years? How?
Teachers are quitting mid-year again at record numbers. Is one of the reasons why. A student who wasn't assigned to me or my classroom was let into my room by another adult, a teacher's aide, and repeatedly ignored my direction and instructions to leave. Eventually, she repeatedly called me and threatened me with physical violence, which sent me into a panic attack. I called the office for support, and as soon as the dean of students showed up to my classroom, I left and I went to the stairwell to go cry and have a panic attack. Once I calmed down, which took my entire lunch, I was expected to go back and teach my classes because we had a sub shortage and nobody could cover my classes for the rest of the day. By the end of the day, the videos that the student took of me circulated amongst the student body, and I ended that day sitting at my desk feeling the most powerless and defeated that I've ever felt in my entire life. The student was not given a consequence that was fitting. She was sent home for the day. That was it. I received no apology, no restorative circle from the student or the adult who let them into my classroom, and the paraprofessional received no disciplinary actions. He stood in my classroom and allowed his student to speak to me in a degrading, violent, and disrespectful manner. After that class period was over, I had several students come up to me and say that they wanted to jump to my defense, but they were also afraid of that student and afraid of for their own safety. That's when I knew the profession I once loved was no longer the profession I needed or wanted, and I left a month later. And that story is not unique. Teachers aren't leaving because they don't care about the kids. They're leaving because the system no longer lets them teach kids. They're not allowed to teach self-management. They're not allowed to teach respect or accountability anymore. We are told to keep the peace, keep the bodies in the room. Some are even told to pass at 20%. Just get the kid the diploma. Pass them along so that the data looks good. But when we do that, we're not protecting the students. We're doing them a disservice because they are walking into a world that will hold them accountable. We could have taught them how to handle that with grace, empathy, and reflection, but instead we're told to look the other way. Teachers quitting mid-year every single year is not an exodus. It's self-preservation. And deep down, it's heartbreak because they want to stay. The system is just making it so that staying is at the expense of yourself and your own family.
I subbed.
Can you imagine? Can you imagine being? Oh, let me let me let this lady's face.
For 8th grade.
There we go. um, can you imagine the situation where the teacher is doing their best to educate, to love the student body, right? Is being abused and unsupported by the apparatus that hired them to look after the students. Abused by the students, right? By the students and by the rules. Because if it was me, there wouldn't be any abuse, right? But that would result in me losing my job, me standing my ground against human beings who are just a lot younger than me, but who pose a physical threat, would have to be responded to with appropriate force in terms, in natural law terms. Okay, and I don't mean social Darwinism. I don't mean by fighting fire with fire and treating the child as if he's an adult, he or she. But I do mean like appropriate levels of self-defense, which are not permitted by administration. Right? Again, it makes the data look bad when there's a reputation of students fighting teachers in the school because the teacher is blamed for that. And therefore, some of the preventive measures are trainings that teachers get to, like she said, keep the peace and keep the bodies in the room and leave all of the disciplining to the administrative class, to the counselor, to the specialty, staff, and, the principal's office. All of the basically all of the disciplining that matters and is supposed to have lasting effect being abdicated to above the teacher's head. Students read into this very quickly, and students, you know, you know, puberty and whatnot brings a lot of rebellion out of kids, and so we have these big reactions, and then the teachers are not allowed to be teachers in response. Let's continue.
Today, and it was awful. And I don't even.
I meant to say teachers are not allowed to be human beings.
And your own family.
I subbed for 8th grade today, and it was awful. And I don't even really want to talk about it. It was bad. They're unhinged and they're chaotic, and it's frustrating because I can't do my job. I can't help them be successful because they won't let me. It was such a bad day. It's such a bad day. I'm in such a bad mood.
I start second quarter of high school with my sophomores, asking them to go big in their heads. Like, dream your biggest dream. Is your dream to be signed with the NFL, win America's Got Talent, get a full ride scholarship for a university, become the first brain surgeon at the age of 18, win NASCAR? And I do this for a specific project, but whatever. Over the years, these answers have given me a lot of insight as to what's going on with a generation. 10 years ago, everybody talked about wanting to go to college or wanting to get into an internship, and that was really a focus. 5 years ago, it felt like so many people wanted to be doctors and nurses. I think that maybe had something to do with the pandemic, but the last 5 years have been awfully rough on our young people. They are growing up now during a time where the youngest of Gen Z, who are just getting in through high school, are the ones who are really seeing a world that does not have a lot of hope in it. And it's showing in their answers. Instead of dreaming of accomplishing things, instead they have things like, I won $2 billion. I won the lottery. I just won a new truck. I won the lottery. I won the lottery for $2.5 billion. I got $100 million. I won $1 million on Family Feud. There's a handful of kids in there who said things like, I wanted to cure cancer, or I got drafted into a certain team. But the majority of them were all about getting money quickly. We've lost the ability for our young people to dream of doing something and being successful at something in this world. And instead, what they see is exactly what the adults of the world have offered them, which is the only way you can survive is to have a lot of money. Forget hope, forget dreams, just get cash. And I am so disappointed, not in these kids, but in us as an older society who have built a world that's all kids can dream about. So one, adults, this is my call to you to do better. Offer hopes and dreams. And Gen Z, I need you to know there is still hope in the world and that chasing what you really love is worthwhile.
Okay, this is
She said it best, didn't she? Couldn't have said it better myself. There's still hope in the world. You got to put in your head that you can achieve something and do something. Right? It's a sad situation. It's a sad situation. Um our whole the future of the world rests in the development of children, right? The future of the future state of the human family depends on how well we develop the minds, hearts, and spiritual understandings of children in our local, regional, and global communities. And all we have offered them for the last 2 decades is if you have enough money, you can do whatever you want. And if you don't have enough money, it doesn't matter what your dreams are, you are a failure. That's all we've offered them. And it's sad. You know, it's very sad. Let's get a couple more. Let's get a couple more rounds of this truth.
It's becoming a genuinely concerning issue. As a substitute teacher, I'm encountering a really concerning number of students who truly do not see any value in learning because, as one of the 4th and 5th graders that I was teaching the other day asked me, why do I need to know any of this if a computer or AI can do it for me? A little girl didn't want to learn how to read because why would she need to when she could have the computer read it to her? Why would she need to know how to count when a calculator could do it, or when she could just take a picture of her math problem and have the AI do it for her? This is a legitimate issue because if for whatever reason we lose the ability to have access to these things, we have an entire generation of kids who's going to be entirely helpless without the internet, and that is not okay. If you as a parent are encouraging this behavior and allowing your child to use AI for everything, you have a problem and you need to be teaching them otherwise.
A message to anyone out there who thinks,
Right? She said, if you are a parent and you are encouraging this behavior and letting your kids use AI to solve all their problems, you are creating a problem. And here's the thing. Let me make myself bigger again. Here's the thing, good people. It's all connected to that, the data matters more than the content, or the data matters more than the reality, right? That I want to look good as a parent. So I want my kid to use AI to solve all the problems because that means my kid's going to get a 100% on the quiz. My kid's going to get a 100% for all his homework. So even if he does bomb the quiz, it's not going to matter, right? And that same mindset, the adult that instills that mindset into the child goes to work, and that mindset is instilled into them, right? Hey, I need you to do these tasks. You should use these AIs to do it quickly, and just double check and make sure that it does it right. And we need you to finish all of these tasks by next week, pronto. And so they get their conditioning at work with all of the AI craze that's going on in the world right now. They go home and they give the AI to their kid, and their kid has all of this homework. Take a picture of the problem and put it in the AI. Get the right answer. All the teacher cares about is the right answer. So just get the right answer. That must be how some of these parents feel. And it's wrong, right? We can clearly see the teacher does not just want the right answer. We can clearly see that the teacher wants the result of a genuinely educated population coming through their classroom. But the teacher is hindered by the rules that they have to follow, by the bad parenting that surrounds their communities, and by the money system, the religion of monetary value that's at the heart of every single problem described in this video. It's all feeding into the control system of making our children more easily controllable, which is highly unfortunate. But the reality of how the education system has changed so much, and also the reality of how the education system was designed. Okay? Again, the education system is not failing anybody. The education system is succeeding with flying colors. We were just told a lie, a story, an untrue story about what that design is. Right? We're going to look at one more of these and then get into some final thoughts and close out the episode.
That teachers have
them otherwise.
a message to anyone out there who thinks that teachers have it easy just because we have time off. I have 2 hours left of my school day and I'm leaving because I'm so stressed out between all the requirements that a district offers and the students' behavior, their lack of trying, their apathy for school, parents that don't give a shit, they don't care, they don't answer phones, they don't discipline their kids, and kids who feel like they're going to commit suicide because they're getting bullied. You have no idea what it's like being a teacher. You have no idea. I don't want to hear a person ever in the history of ever say that this job, we're lucky, we have it easy, we get so much time off. You have zero clue what all it takes to be a teacher.
Sometimes these kids, I don't understand how they ended up to this point. You know what I mean? Like, I teach 8th grade history, and I have 110-ish students. 2 of them are reading on grade level right now. 18 of them are at a kindergarten level. 55 of those students are between a 2nd and 4th grade level. That's a lot of them. And that's...
Again, it's 8th grade. Okay. 55 plus 18 is what? Because I'm getting ready to sound stupid as hell. 55 plus 10 is 65, plus 8 is 73. So 73 of 110 students are 4th grade reading level and below, 18 of which at a kindergarten level, which is essentially nothing. You know, you have sight words in kindergarten. So it's very, very bad. It's very, very bad. 78 of 110 8th graders are 4th grade and below in reading level.
Typical of what I've seen lately from students. But it's not just literacy. It's not just literacy, and it's not just like lack of content knowledge. It's not just critical thinking skills. It's basic thinking skills. My students can decode almost nothing. They cannot apply inference. They cannot process questions that are longer than a sentence. They cannot connect cause and effect. They can't track multi-step ideas like in a political cartoon. And it's scaring me a little. Like, I see it every single day. I had a kid yesterday, 4 kids actually, this happened in every class. We were doing guided notes, supposed to be a real easy day, it was review. They wrote down, Maryland was founded as a safe haven for Catholics. It was on the board, they wrote it down, and before we moved on, I call on a student and I ask, hey, where were the Catholics one more time? And these students, what they do is they look at me, and then they look at their notes, And then they look at the board. They look back at their notes. And some of them never answered me. They never figured out the answer. It was wild. And I kept giving them hints, like rephrasing the question and saying, like, it's in your notes. We just wrote it down. We just wrote it down. Where are the Catholics? It's on the board. And they never got it. They can't read their own notes. Not, and I don't mean their handwriting. I mean, like, they can't make heads or tails of it on the page. I had a kid today. I have these extra credit assignments, 3 of them. They're on the wall. They could turn it in at any time. And I think they're pretty easy, like this one. And it replaces your lowest daily grade. So like end of the quarter, lots of these start to roll in. This one says, on a separate sheet of paper, choose 4 principles of the Constitution, and for each one, write what it means in your own words, an example of how it works in the US government today, and a personal example, how that principle might show up in your own life, school, or community. I wrote them an example, and I labeled it, do not use the example, and I even gave them a checklist at the bottom. Make sure you have these 4 things so you can get full credit before you turn it in. Make sure you have the 4 principles and the meaning and the examples. Make sure it's 1 full page. And this student just turned it in, and I read it. First of all, they don't write it on a separate sheet of paper. I've only had 1 kid this year do that. They just write like in the spaces of the instruction, like in the margins and stuff. Very bizarre. But like they just don't do the assignment. It's like they don't understand because it's not written in like a multiple choice format. This is exactly what this student wrote. They wrote the principle's definition in the student's own words. They rewrote the instructions. The whole thing. Even the example where it says, do not use this example, they just copied the instructions and wrote them again. And then checked off the checklist, even though, like, you didn't do it. And this student, just like the students.
Did y'all see the check marks on the checklist? The student rewrote the instructions. This is very heartbreaking. The student rewrote the instructions as the answer, and then and answered all of the question spots that way. Didn't adhere to the separate sheet of paper instruction, and then went to the checklist and checked off the boxes. 4 boxes in the checklist. Did y'all see that? I hope y'all saw that. Let me see if I can.
You didn't do it. The check.
Look, oh, look at that. Can I? Look at that. They checked off the checklist boxes. 4 principles explained. Each includes meaning, the U.S. example, personal example. Uses correct terms and shows understanding, at least 1 full page total. And they checked the box. That's not just, and we can stop the share now. That's not just, some oversight. That's not blatant disrespect. He's not trolling the teacher. Right? That's straight up an inability. Pardon me, I changed the setting. That's why I paused my sentence so long. I changed the setting on my StreamYard. But that's not trolling. That is straight up a lack of ability to retain enough information to do a simple under grade level assignment for extra credit. And it's on the Constitution, which in the paradigm of government is legitimate is a very important subject. One of the most important subjects in the paradigm that government is legitimate. You have to know your constitutional protections. Why are you here? Right? Why are you an American if you do not understand the contract that forms America or that forms your relationship to the American government? Right? And yeah, as you can see, good people, teaching or real education is just not even allowed anymore in America. And it's very, very sad. Very, very sad situation. What we choose to do about it is up to us and not the system. What we choose as our response to this reality, to this earth-shattering, heartbreaking reality, comes down to what story are we willing to live from here on out? Because if we're just going to live the story of, yeah, well, it's Monday, got to send my kid back to school now, or, I'm going to get in trouble. Or, well, nobody will mobilize with me even if I try, so I'm not even going to try, and we're just going to send our kid back to school on Monday. Or any story like that, then the story is insufficient for bringing change of any significant kind to our lives. We cannot, will not see change if we cannot, will not change the story we tell ourselves about what we see in the world. So take your kids out of school legally and do something else than just run the same story. And see if the situation improves after 10 years. Let's take a gander. And just test it out, right? Just test it out. Other than that, good people, today is Saturday, so I will not see you tomorrow, but we will be back on Monday, and I will be sitting here with the one and only John Bush. That's German Bush, not British Bush. He's not related to the Bush family that you know. If you're in the conspiracy theory bag. But John Bush is great. It's great. We're gonna have a conversation about exiting the system, and we're gonna have a conversation about conspiracy theories. It's gonna be super duper great time. One more comment says it's up to us parents to stop the runaway cart and take responsibility through action. We gotta make a way. We have to make a way, even if it means a lifestyle shift. Yes. Yes, indeed. Watch those typos. No, I'm kidding. Yeah, but I'll be here. I'll be here with John Bush next episode on Monday. I'll see you guys then. Peace and love.